Hey everybody, this is Everyday Commentary, and this is another in the Better Than a Sebenza series. And today on the table is a comparison between the small plain Jane Sebenza 31 and S45VN and the Chaparral, Spyderco Chaparral in Raffir Noble. And I'm just going to use this as the stand-in for all of the Chaparrals because they have different handle scales, and some of them might be a little fancier, but their performance is the same. And so this is the first time I'm comparing what I think of as a specialty knife versus the Sebenza, which I think is like the all-around knife, like a good all-around EDC folder. This is a specialty knife because it is really thin. This knife is designed to be a compact EDC laser beam. It is so thin. So this knife has a blade under 3 inches. The knife weighs under 3 ounces, and it runs CTS XHP steel, which is allegedly stainless, but this knife had some serious staining issues, and I'm trying to find, I did a lot of buffing to get them out, but it's right there. Yeah, that is the remnant of a pretty serious stain. I did a lot of buffing and polishing and stropping to get it out, but it was a large stain, about the size of the thumb hole. And it just came from sitting in my gear chest, my Gerstner chest, for a long time without being carried. I got this knife for Father's Day. The first Father's Day I had 2 boys, so it's like a sentimental knife, but it's a very good knife. It's just, excuse me, very specialized. So let's talk about which knife I like better. So this knife is significantly cheaper. It's like $130, $150. This knife is $375. So, price-wise, this knife wins. I also like the wire clip. I like the wire clip better than I like the Sebenza clip. The wire clip on the Spydercos, from the Dragonfly to the Sage to the Chaparral and the Spidey Chef, is just amazing. Deep carry, easy to use. Because it's so round and thin, it just does not cause any hot spots. I love the deep carry wire clip from Spyderco. It might be one of my favorite clips in the world, and is probably one of my favorite production clips ever. The only knife that I think has a better clip maybe is this one. This is the SOG Terminus XR LTE, and this is a really good stamped steel pocket clip. These two are about as good as you're going to find, though. And if you notice, they both have a very similar radius on that bend on the back. This is squared off, but that one is bent over, and it's just, very good. Anyway, sorry. This knife has a mega thin, just absolutely, wafer thin blade, and it slices like a demon. As a result, I actually gonna say this, I like the blade stock and the grind on the Chaparral better than the grind on a Sebenza. Now, that's just me. I don't do a lot of hard use tasks with my folders, and when I do hard use stuff, I generally grab a fixed blade. But if you only had one knife, this is definitely a better way to go, because while it is more robust, it is not significantly less slicey. They do an excellent job putting a hollow grind on this knife, and as a result, it's just a very, very competent slicer. So while I would give the edge to this in terms of sliciness, overall I would recommend that you go here. I just have a preference for these. So the handle shape is a classic sort of organic handle shape that Spydercos are known for. It's got this index notch and finger choil along with a little bit of a bird beak. It's a great handle. It is actually a full 4-finger handle knife, which is interesting because it's small. The handle, thanks to the choil, feels bigger than the Sebenza handle. It's not, but it feels bigger because you can move your hand. It's a half and half forward choil, so you're getting a little bit more space by eating up the blade. Now, I do not like this drop dead stop here. It makes it very difficult to sharpen that last little 1/4 inch of the blade. But, it's okay. And you're losing a little bit of the blade length compared to the cutting length because of the choil, and then you're actually losing a little bit more because it's so hard to sharpen this back end there. I love the deployment here. It's not something, because this is a lockback, that you can flick open, but it's a Spyderco, so you can always just roll it open with your finger. It's really great. This knife carries exceptionally well because the Raffir Noble is smooth and the knife itself is pretty thin. The fit and finish on this knife is really good. This is a Taichung made Spyderco, but it is not as good as the Sebenza. I do think that if you are looking for like a classy EDC and you don't want to spend a ton of money, you're going to have a hard time finding something better than the Chaparral. The one thing that I would note is I don't like XHP steel. It is not a steel I would prefer. I would much prefer something that's more stainless. And so, you know, D2 plus 440C means that you're like, that's like the general description of XHP. And it's like you're taking like a meh steel and adding another meh steel. And I think that, like, unlike with addition, steels are more like multiplication, where if you have crap, or not crap, but like below par times below par, you get below par. You don't like add them together. So, you know, this is not a great knife steel in my opinion. I'm also not super thrilled about the lockback. Like, it's fine, but this little, the place where you engage the lock bar, it's pretty sharp. And if you really do squeeze down on the knife, you can feel that in your hand. You can't feel the clip, which is why that's a great clip, but you can definitely feel that in your hand. So, not super mega thrilled with the lock, and, you know, it's a lockback, so whatever. But I think even including the price, while I really do like this knife, and I think it's a great knife to carry, I like the FRN version for like a starter knife, or if you're starting to get into the hobby. I still think that price inclusive, the Sebenza is a better knife. So the Chaparral is not better than a Sebenza.